Let's talk about one we all stink at. I mean, ain't nobody clean. And this one, that's forgiving people who hadn't even asked for it yet. I'm Zach. This is The Average Christian, a project simply about how to practically live out a relationship with God. I am in Luke 23 and verse 32, and I can't give you a how-to as far as a list, not in this short of time. All I want to do with this one, we'll come back and revisit, but all I want to do is just set a foundation and an attitude and an example that helps us figure out how I'm supposed to act. And this is the best one that I could come up with, probably the best one that exists. How to forgive people who don't even ask to be forgiven. Now, we serve a God who is continuing to wait to send Jesus back because all he wants to do is forgive. Ever since man sinned, even before man sinned, before we were even created, the plan of salvation, the plan of redemption was created because he knew this was going to happen. And so all God has been wanting to do is forgive. Well, when you go to 2 Peter chapter 3, you see there that the Lord is not slack concerning his promises. Some count slackness, but is long suffering toward us because he didn't want anybody to be in hell. He didn't want anybody to die that second death. And what's he waiting for? He's like the father in the prodigal son parable. He's just waiting for us to come home, for us to come to him. So when you think of that, that's who we serve, number one. And this God, by the way, I don't know of any other religion. You can comment if you know of one. I don't know of any other religion. The rest of them are man-made, of course, but that has God sacrificing for the subjects, the people, the followers. And our God is sacrificing here, right in the middle of this. He is in the midst of sacrificing. He's just been crucified. And here are the first words out of his mouth, best I can tell. This is Jesus on the cross. Two others who were criminals were led away to be put to death with him. When they came to the place that is called the skull, there they crucified him, and the criminals, one on his right and one on his left. And Jesus said in the middle of this crucifixion, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Let's let that sink in for a minute. While he's being murdered, innocently, God being murdered, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And they cast lots to divide his garments. The people stood by watching, but the ruler scoffed at him, making fun of him, saying, "He saved others. He can't let him save himself. If he is the Christ of God, his chosen one." The soldiers also mocked him, coming up and offering sour wine, saying, "If you're the king of the Jews, save yourself." There was also an inscription over him, "This is the king of the Jews." So if I want to talk about forgiving people who hadn't asked for it, I know these people weren't asking for it. It doesn't mean that God automatically forgave these people because these ones that were crucifying Jesus because Jesus asked for it, but that's what God wants is forgiveness. He asks so little of us in order to forgive us because he wants to do it so badly. And then you and I hold back and we want people to jump through hoops and we want them to prove to us and we want to set standards that not even God sets. And we have trouble forgiving people who don't even ask for it. And God has called us to do exactly that. And here is our example. Father, forgive them. I don't know what's been done to you. I have people who've done some pretty terrible things to me. I don't know how they rank. We don't need to compare them, but I've had some people do some fairly hurtful things to me. And I've never been offended to this point. I've never been hurt like this. This is what the Lord knew he had to do and did it voluntarily and wants to forgive. And in the middle of it being done to him, ask for forgiveness for the very people who are doing it while they're doing it to them. Can you do that? Can I do that? Can I pray that God will forgive these people while they are in the middle of treating us badly? It won't happen unless they decide, they want it to happen. They'll have to seek God's forgiveness and do what little, again, he asks, but there are demands in this relationship with God. Can you do it? I don't want to let somebody like that who's done me wrong get in between me and God. And I don't want to withhold from them what God is so willing to give. I know. It takes effort. It takes practice. It takes work. Like I said, we all stink at this to some degree. Some of us are better than others, but we all get offended, we all get hurt, and we all want to withhold this. So can you do that? Maybe another video on some other how-to, some effective, but at least for this one, can we just look at Jesus and say, wow, if he can do this and a servant is not greater than his master, a pupil not greater than his teacher, then what excuse do I have for not forgiving people who haven't even asked for it? Thank you for being here. If you are not a subscriber yet to The Average Christian, you can click this button below. Thank you for those who have already subscribed and are a part of this channel. If you want to see the last video we created, you can click here. If you want to see the video that YouTube recommends, you can click here. If you're listening on podcasts, we're asking you to subscribe, rate, and review so that the word gets out. Also, feel free to comment. If you're watching on Facebook, watching on YouTube, comment, give us suggestions of what you'd like to hear about, and share this with other people.